Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the new, and I mean new, like lots of new things, Kawasaki Z900, just the base model. So this isn't even the SE model. It's got things like cruise control, a quick shifter, an IMU, it's got a bigger dash, it's got connectivity with voice controls, it's got so many things, and it's a really good value. I just reviewed on this channel the Ninja 1100 SX SE, so the top of the line sort of street sport bike from Kawasaki if you keep out of the supercharged ones. And now I'm looking at this, and there are pieces on this base level bike that are actually better than the top line Ninja 1000 SX or Ninja 1100 SX. So this thing is actually kind of like a mini Ninja 1100 SX, but it's still got a whole different character to it. So I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, Jim Gilbert's Power Sports, the #1 volume Kawasaki dealer in the country, and they give me complete access to their entire vehicle lineup. And I'm going to be covering a lot of 2025s this year, including everything this bike competes with. And if you're shopping for anything this bike competes with, you now have to put this back on your list. It has so many things the old bike didn't have, including better tires. It's just, there's so many things. So we're going to go over all of that and more in this review. So taking a look at the front wheel of this bike, again, why do we start at the front wheel? Because you can tell the manufacturer's intent for this bike. So first of all, you've got all new rubber. So you've got Dunlop's Sportmax Q5A. So this is an upgraded rubber over the past ones. And Kawasaki had some of their bikes, including the bike I bought, which is the Z900 RS SE, didn't have the best tires, so this is a great tire for what this bike is made for from Dunlop here. So you've got a great tire to start, always a good start. You still got the upside down forks here. I believe they've been retuned for 2025, but the suspension is semi-adjustable on this, not fully adjustable like you would have on the next level up, which is the SE model. This one though used to not have the radial mount calipers. The base model here does have that. You've gone back to the rounded discs, of course dual discs there as well. So you've got what's set up here to be a great sporting package. Now you can get the SE, which upgrades to Brembos, it has gold fork tubes, and it also has the Olin shock, but this one basically has everything else most people are going to want, and again, great value on this bike. So let's talk about the engine now. So the truth about four-cylinder engines is that they are harder and harder to get to meet emission standards worldwide. So you just don't see them around very much anymore, but this is an awesome engine. So this is an engine that I'm very familiar with because the same basic engine is available on my Z900 RS SE, but this one makes more horsepower. So you have plenty of horsepower here, well over 100 horsepower. You've also got an engine that is incredibly smooth, incredibly reliable as well. That's one of the big things, is this thing is just, you could drive it all day, every day. It's super, super reliable. The big thing you notice, the character of this engine, of course, being a four-cylinder, you expect it to have that high RPM kind of power there, and this does. But the weird thing with this four-cylinder compared to like a super sport bike is it's also extremely torquey throughout. So basically any gear you're in, you can give it the gas and really pull away from traffic, really pull away from people. You don't have to downshift, but of course you can, and you know, when you do, you get that huge rush of power. So a really fun engine as far as torquiness everywhere, not peaky power. So if you want peaky power, go for like a 600 sport bike or something like that. But if you just want good grunt, muscle bike type power everywhere, this bike has it, and that's what this engine is known for. One thing I should point out about the engine as well is that it is not, even though this is a Z900, it's not a 900cc engine. It's larger, it's 948. So in a industry where everybody writes Z900, for instance, and they think it's a 850 or something like that, this is a true 948cc. So it's got significantly more displacement than some other bikes that may seem close because they give it a big name, but it's actually underrating. So this one, four-cylinder, lots of torque, lots of power, and over 900cc, which is, again, rare in the industry. I do want to talk about some of the electronics on this bike. So again, base model Z900, not the top of the line one. And some of the things I want to point out here, we talked about the cruise control, but I want to talk about the IMU. So if you've never really paid attention to what an IMU is, it basically senses every which way the bike is going to go. So if you want a wheelie on the old Z900, it would use the wheel speed sensors, and as the front wheel slowed down, it would sort of pull you back down with the traction control. Well, now it still can sense what's going on with the traction control, the wheel speed sensors, but it also senses if your front wheels come off the ground, and it can sense that and help you get it back down the ground. It can also sense if your rear wheels come up, it can sense if your rear wheel's sliding out, it can sense if your front wheel's sliding out, it can sense if you're sliding together every which way. So it senses movement before your brain can even perceive it, and then it can work with you to adapt things. So that brings in things like Kawasaki's cornering management function, KCMF. What that means, it's been on the Ninja 1000 for a while, now it's still on the Ninja 1100, it's probably on other bikes as well, but it's now on the Z900, and really the key to that is, as you're heading into a corner, the bike is sensing the deceleration forces, not just the braking. So if you downshift, it's sensing that. If you're having the weight shift of the bike, even if you're just moving around the bike, it can sense some of those things. And then it can prepare you to hold the line in the corner. So it's using the electronics to help make you a better rider than you are. Now that doesn't mean that they take over for you, but as you're holding a line, it can sense things that you probably can't sense right away, and you're gonna find that this thing handles better because it's able to assist you. So it's got Kawasaki's cornering management function, which is one piece of it. My screen's turning off here. I wanna talk about it's still got the traction control, which we knew about. Where are we looking? There's one other thing I wanted to point out. Ooh, that was it. Traction control and that kind of thing. It's got ABS and all those kind of things. But all of that, again, is enhanced now by this IMU. So there's a number of other electronic features we can talk about here, and overall features, technology features. But that's a big one that I think people are going to gloss over because it's hard to explain and hard to just show you. You know, the quick shifter, the cruise control, those are things that they're going to point out. But that cornering management, the IMU is going to handle some of that extreme handling that you might do on this bike. It's going to work with you so the bike is sensing things that it couldn't sense before, making you a better rider. So that's one of the cool things about this bike. It's going to be better to ride. Now let's take a seat on this bike. We'll show you what it looks like with me on it because it's got a new seat position and enhanced foam. So let's talk about that. All right, I threw my cheat sheet away, so it's no iPad to knock over here. Hopping over the back here, compared to my Z900 RS SE, the back of course is higher. It's more of that sport bike look. I am 6-footer, easily flat footing here. So it's nice and narrow in the front of the seat here, but it is decently wide in the back. So I don't remember the Z900 seat being terrible, but I do remember it being firm. This one is, to me, a little cushier. So it's not super thick back here, but when you start putting your thumb into it, it is a sort of a consistent squish down, which to me, on my non-scientific scale, usually indicates a seat that's going to be comfortable on a longer ride. And I would say that that is an improvement on this bike. It does feel like it's got a lot of cushion there, but it's firm and consistent. So you're not squishing into it and being uncomfortable, but you're not also on a rock hard seat. On the Z900, you've got to have those high foot pegs because you want to have good corner clearance, and you still have that. A little bit of a lean forward here, which is fine without that ton of wind protection. You want to have a little bit of a lean forward here. Handlebars are well placed, so you're not a sport bike low, but you kind of feel like you're centered with the weight. Remember when we talk about center of gravity, the engine, the suspension, the angle of the suspension, all that is pushed forward and low. So you want to do the same thing with your body. So you're pushing this a little bit forward and low and putting you over that the engine and that front wheel a little bit. So you're nice and balanced on this bike, feels very comfortable. You do have a new mirror design here. We'll show you that when we show you the dash here. And you have a new dash, and you've got the new cruise control, slipper and assist clutch, I should mention. Both brake lever and clutch lever are adjustable as well. So a lot of premium features, and that's one of the things that this bike feels to me. It just feels more premium. We're going to show you the lighting. This area here is like a brushed aluminum look. A lot of pieces feel more premium. So I'm going to show you the seat next, and then we're going to show you the dash and controls as well. So taking a top-down look at the seat here, it's hard to say the exact shape difference. I do feel like the last one felt a little more triangular, where this one kind of lengthens out here. And again, there's good cush throughout this seat, so that's kind of nice. Another cool thing is this says Kawasaki. I don't know if you can see that clearly on the screen there, but it's just sort of a brushed aluminum kind of Kawasaki look, kind of a cool thing. The rear seat, it's a rear seat. It's still fairly firm. Actually, you can sort of feel the foam difference between the two. I bet you that's the exact same seat. It's fine. It's not something you want to have a passenger on that's going to want like a gold wing or something like that, but it's fine. It exists. It's there. The lighting underneath that seat's cool. We're going to show you that in a second, but first of all, let's take a look at the dash. All right, take a look at the new dash here. It is a larger dash, and I want to show you turning it on. Now, first of all, anytime you film any dash like this, it's going to show some reflection, so you can see if I go in the background here, it will show my face here. But what we want to do is turn it on and show you new graphics here. First of all, you have that cruise control light that comes on right there. And then you've got rider mode here. You've got power is full, traction control is 2. There's 3 levels of traction control and an off position. You've got your fuel efficiency down there. You now have the tachometer only across the top. I actually prefer this. The reason I like the old analog gauges is because the tachometer was always consistent the whole way through. As soon as you go up here and over there, I find it's a little less easy to tell at a glance exactly where you are in the rev range. Maybe that's just me, maybe you guys get used to it, but it's again consistent. When it's just across the top, it's consistent there. And there's lots of information here. So right now you have your fuel efficiency here. Your average fuel efficiency is listed as kilometers per liter is the standard that it comes to Canada, but we can list it as liters per 100 kilometers, miles per gallon US, all that kind of stuff, US, UK, that kind of thing. So there's lots of stuff there. So I want to sort of show you through. I haven't learned how to use everything in this dash yet. I wanted to get this bike to you. We'll come back and do a full dash review because there's a lot more to talk about, including cell phone connectivity with voice commands. It can show you turn-by-turn directions. You can change the rider mode and other things. I think you change the rider mode. We'll check about everything you can do, but there is a level, a trim level, where you can change the rider mode just by saying, hey, Kawasaki, and tell it to change. Of course, you need a Bluetooth system paired with that, communication system paired with that, as well as your phone, which you can pair. So there's a number of things about this dash that we'll show you in a separate video. I don't want to drag on too long. But we had trip A, trip B. We're going to go down to engine temperature there and back to odometer, and then that's back there. And then on this side here, we saw that number 4. Now we've got range there, average speed, total time. Battery is 12.3 volts, and again, the instant fuel efficiency and average fuel efficiency. So now to change the rider mode, we're going to hold this down. We've got rider mode there. You got rain mode here. Can hold it up again. We got road mode, and we've got sport mode. So you have to hold the button down to get through those things. So that's everything that you have on this bike. Let's see if there's one more rider mode. I can't remember if this one has it, so it takes a second to get back through. But basically what you have is Kawasaki's similar system. If you're familiar with Kawasaki, it's displayed differently than what they had before, but it works the same. So I quite like, and then again, you can select here. So you only have the one rider mode, not 2 separate, but you can select the power. You can go full power or low power there. And we'll select that, and then we can go traction control. We'll show you, we can go 3, 2, 1, or you can go to off. All of this stuff can be controlled from the handlebars here on the left side, so I'll show you that in just a second here. We're going to put it back on 2 just in case somebody hops on this in rider mode, and then we're going to select that, and now we're good. So you can customize rider mode, but the rain, road, and sport mode will sort of set those 2 up for you by default, and again, very easy to switch through. Let's show you the controls now. So nothing too new here for Kawasaki, but this is new, of course, to the Z900. You've got the same controls I had on the Ninja 1000, which is now the Ninja 1100, sitting down here. So pretty simple stuff. You've got a trigger over here. Usually you have a flash to pass on the Kawasaki's, but this time it's a push forward for high beam and a regular flash to pass button there. Has a little more clickiness than the previous one would have had. And then you've got these mode and selection modes, so that's going to control all of your dash. You've got your cruise control over here, a reset button for your dash, signals, horn, 4-way flashers. Everything is on this side and fairly easy to use. Again, none of this is too complicated, so it's very easy to use on this side. The other side is just a start and kill switch. We'll just show you that for a quick second here while we come across the dash. So it's the same button. Again, we've used this on, Kawasaki's used this before on the Ninja 1000 and other bikes as well. So that's just the same kill switch, start switch built into one. I'm gonna come up here and just show you those mirrors just for a second here. A little different shape here. What I find is that if your shoulder was, like it's almost pinched here and then goes wider again. If your shoulder was in the area, it would be just in this area. So really not in your mirrors at all. Different shape for Kawasaki. They like those angled shaped mirrors, but they work fine. They clear my shoulders fine. All right, let's show you some lighting. I should point out while we're here, of course, adjustable brake lever, adjustable clutch lever. I think I already talked about that. Let's show you the lighting now. So lighting is always one of those things that's tough to show in person here. First of all, you've got the LED lights everywhere, which you did have on the Z900 in North America, but you don't have the Z900 RS in North America. Actually, you didn't have these on some of them. So LED lighting throughout, and then a new headlight design. So you've got the low beam there, but the high beam comes through the center. This is new for Kawasaki, something they haven't done before. We all think it looks pretty cool. So in person, lights never show great on camera, but it looks pretty cool. The other thing that we really are impressed with is the rear lighting, which hopefully shows as well on camera as it does in person, because it's also something that looks almost futuristic. So I can already tell you that in person this looks better than it does on camera. It looks like a really thin line there, but it's actually got some depth to it. It almost looks kind of 3D here from the side. What I think is cool though is that this is just the tail light. This is not going to get brighter for the brake lights. If you see me pull the brake here, the brake light is actually outside that. So you almost have the two brake lights. It gives you some extra width as well as extra brightness. I think that's a much more of a grab your attention kind of light. And again, it looks really cool in person. It's not going to show up as well on camera. One cool thing as well, you've got the LED lights everywhere, including the bright white LED license plate light. So I know a lot of people want to do tail tidies in there, but you've got that bright white LED in there instead of having the you know, sort of a lesser light on there. So the whole thing here is full LED, which is new for 2025. So let's talk about who this bike is for, and this is why I'm excited about this bike. I've owned a bike with this engine on it, and the thing I felt is that there were a couple things missing. First of all, I do think it needed a quick shifter. It now has that. You know, upgraded brakes, those kind of little things are nice. You can step this up again with the Olin suspension, the Brembos, all that kind of stuff. All that is good. I think that makes it class competitive. The problem with the Z900 in the past is the engine was too good for the bike. And by that, I mean, this is an engine that, you know, in the previous chassis was kind of a hooligan bike and around town, wheelie, have some fun, casual ride kind of bike. But the engine is so good and so powerful, it really should be and could be a sport tourer. And by adding cruise control into this, by improving the dash, that kind of thing, you really have something that now becomes a bike that doesn't lose anything it had before, but with the ease of a quick shifter, with the cruise control and that kind of thing, the electronics in there that make cornering better, you can really turn it into a sport tourer. You can head places you haven't gone before. You can drive longer with that cruise control. When you get there, you've got the ability to hold that cornering line better than you would have before. When you're doing your wheelies and that kind of thing, you've got an IMU that senses it instead of just a traction control. So everything about this bike is better, but it's now far more versatile than it used to be in the past, including adding a more comfortable seat. So all of the issues that I didn't really have with the bike, but I had with the bike because the engine was so good, I felt like you could do more with this bike if you just had a few more electronic controls on here, and now you do in the base model. Everything here is the base model, and like I said, it looks more premium, it feels more premium, and again, you've got an engine that is super versatile, and what that does is allow you to buy this bike and not get bored with it and want something else. It allows you to do everything you want to do. So to me, that's a winner all the way around. Adding in little things like improved tires that make a difference to a lot of people, and right out of the box, you've got something you don't have to tweak or do anything to. You've got what you need to have some fun. So throw a little tab bag on here, a tank bag on there, do a day trip somewhere, sport tour for an entire day. You can do that now on this bike, do it comfortably, and it's added sport. So it's sportier. I think it's less expensive. At one point it was supposed to be less expensive. The old one's off the website now, so I can't remember that. But when they first introduced it, it had been introduced at a less expensive price than the previous 2024 Z900, at least in Canada where we're filming. And then it added all this stuff. It's just a hard to beat value in this category. So if you're looking at anything in this category, you gotta come back to the Z900 now. You gotta give it a serious look because it really is a different bike than it was last year. Upgraded styling, sure, it does look similar to me. You certainly know what it is, but again, it does feel more premium, look more premium as well. So great job, Kawasaki, on this. The only issue I have with it is it's so much less expensive than the Z900 RS, and the Z900 RS doesn't have any of the tech. No cruise control, no quick shifter, no IMU, no Kawasaki cornering management, all that kind of stuff, no turn-by-turn directions, all that stuff. And I know people give me a hard time saying that's a retro bike, it should be retro, but that bike's a lot more expensive than this. This is a hard bike to say no to for the price and for the features. And that is my initial review of the Z900 for 2025. We will have more for sure, so if you're interested in this bike, stay tuned to this channel. We'll talk to you in the next one.